So let me talk about politics. It's been in the news lately that the opposition parties or key figures in the opposition parties have been meeting. And recently in Abuja, there was a meeting between Atiku Abubakar of PDP, Peter Obi of Labour Party, and Malam Nasir El-Rufai. I think he moved from APC to SDP, if I'm not mistaken. So some news came out that they were proposing to move to ADC, to form to move to ADC and use ADC as a platform to run. And others were saying that there was a proposal for them to use SDP and all that. So, couple of things. This movement, it's not looking like a coalition to me. A coalition would have been that Atiku Abubakar stays in PDP. Peter Obi stays in Labour. Malam Nasir El-Rufai stays in SDP. And they now pull their forces together. Atiku brings the force of PDP. Peter Obi brings Labour. Malam Nasir El-Rufai brings SDP. And they now merge. That is a proper coalition. Moving away from one party to join another party and using that as a platform, I don't really see that as a proper coalition, because we have history to show that coalitions of political parties happen and sometimes they are successful. Now, I use ChatGPT to search history of political coalitions in Nigeria from the 1960s. So, the First Republic between 1960 to 1966, the notable coalition was between NPC and the NCNC. The NPC is Northern People's Congress, and the NCNC, National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons. They formed a national government after independence, and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa emerged as Prime Minister and Nnamdi Azikiwe as president. Now, there was another one in 1964, UBGA Alliance, NCNC, Action Group, and other small parties, though they had some issues. In the Second Republic, between 1979 and 1983, it was the NPN-NPP Accord. The NPN is National Party of Nigeria, and the NPP, Nigerian People's Party. So they form a majority in National Assembly. Shehu Shagari was of the NPN, and Nnamdi Azikiwe of NPP. Then the Third Republic, there was no proper coalition. But we see the notable coalition in 2013, before the 2015 general election. We had the notable coalition that formed the APC. APC was formed by a merger of 1. ACN, Action Congress of Nigeria, 2. CPC, Congress for Progressive Change, 3. ANPP, All Nigerian People's Party. Then there was a faction of ABGA, and there was the NPDP, New PDP, that members of the PDP that joined the coalition. They formed a strong coalition, and they were able to defeat the ruling party. They defeated Goodluck Jonathan of the PDP in the 2015 election. Now, let's take that of 2015. Now, that was a proper coalition. If you saw the parties that were mentioned, where you had parties like ACN, Action Congress of Nigeria, I think that's where the Bola Tinubu faction comes from. Then you have the CPC, Congress for Progressive Change. That's the Buhari's faction. So you have people who were in their parties, they brought their party structure. The ACN brought their structure, CPC brought their structure, AMPP and other, they brought their structure. You understand? So it wasn't as if they left their party to go and form another party, and they left their party to join a fresh party and left their party behind. No. They moved their party, moved the structure they had to form APC, and that's why they were successful. This one that I'm hearing that Peter Obi will now leave Labour Party, Atiku will now leave PDP, and all that, and they now go and form a new party. I don't see it as a proper coalition, right? And one of the problems that they had in 2023 was lack of coalition. Because 2023, they were standing as individual parties. And you can't defeat a ruling party without a coalition. That's the truth. Without a coalition, you can't defeat a ruling party. You can't even win election, whether ruling or whatever, without, okay, let's use opposition. Without, opposition parties can't win without a coalition. If they stand alone, as it is in 2023, they are going to lose. Right now, even with a coalition, the chances of the opposition defeating APC is like 30%. The chances of President Tinubu winning again 2027 is like 70%, even with a strong coalition. But without a coalition, the chances of them winning is like 5 to 10%. Because without a coalition, it's finished. If you look at 2015, it wasn't just the coalition. Yes, they formed a strong coalition, and that was very important. Forming a strong coalition to fight the ruling party. That's important. But that APC structure that they had, they were able to put a lot of pressure. They put pressure on the Jonathan's government. They used the issue of the fuel hike, that was done by Jonathan, removal of fuel subsidy. They capitalized on that, and they put local pressure on the ruling party. That's one. Then two, they put international pressure. There were people from the APC structure that went to other countries. They went to Europe, went to America to tell the governments of the US and other countries so that the international pressure is so that the INEC, the electoral body, will follow the rules and they will be impartial. And that is where international pressure comes in, right? The international pressure is not to make sure they win. No. International pressure is so that the election can be conducted credibly. You understand? So that the ruling party will not take advantage of their federal might and their power and force INEC to declare results in their favor. So there was pressure on Jonathan's government from outside to ensure that INEC, under the chairman Jega, that they were impartial, that they were able to conduct free and fair election. So it was a combination of that local pressure, international pressure, that helped, seating Jonathan. Now, if this coalition, this talk of coalition is good, but this moving from one party to the other is not a proper coalition. And for them to stand a chance of a fighting chance against APC, they need to apply local and international pressure. Local pressure, just as APC did against PDP in 2013, 2014, 2015, is that when there are issues, and there are several issues, there are issues of insecurity, there are economic crisis and all of that, right? A united opposition, a strong opposition, would play that message that the ruling party is not doing well in terms of being able to resolve some of these issues. So they will play that message, and so there will be local pressure on the ruling government. That's one. Then this opposition can now go outside the country to Nigeria is a democracy. So Europe, America, they are the guardians of democracy. So we go to those places and tell those governments that they don't think that INEC can be impartial. That the INEC was not impartial in 2023, but for 2023 we want INEC to be impartial. So the international community, who stands on the side of democracy, will now be putting pressure on the Tinubu's government to ensure that the tenure of the INEC chairman will soon expire, and I learned that they're looking for a new chairman. So the international community can now put pressure on the president that, Mr. President, you have to get a chairman that is impartial. The electoral body have to play by the rules.